VI became King of England at the age of 9 months old, succeeding his father, Henry V. Henry V had been a spectacularly successful king, storming through France and having himself proclaimed heir to the French throne with the signing of the Treaty of Troyes. The French king at that time was Charles VI, also known as the Simple or Mad. As you can probably tell from his nicknames, Charles suffered from periodic periods of madness, ranging from problems such as thinking that he was made of glass to rampaging through his palaces. This same Charles was the father to Henry V's queen, Catherine of Valois. Henry V and Catherine had their marriage arranged after the Treaty of Troyes, and this also made Charles the grandfather of their baby son, born in 1421, the future Henry VI. Henry was to suffer mental issues as he got older, and so it's quite probable that he inherited his disorders from his maternal grandfather. If Henry V had lived even a little longer, then he would have united the French and English crowns. Nobody expected him to die before his father-in-law. Charles was aging and ailing, while Henry was still only 35 and in the prime of his career. But dysentery claimed the lives of many a soldier in medieval Europe, and Henry succumbed to the disease in 1422, dying shortly before Charles, who died literally a matter of weeks later. Henry VI, at 9 months old, was now King of England and technically King of France, but that would only ever be in name only. The tide of the 100 Years' War would be turned by the visions of a peasant girl who claimed God had told her to save the French from the English invaders. Initially skeptical, the French Dauphin, Charles, would use her to his advantage and would have himself crowned Charles VII in 1429, 7 years after his father, Charles VI, had died. The English, though, didn't give up on France and winning the war. They humanely turned Joan of Arc into ashes by burning her at the stake. She was just 19. And then they had Henry VI crowned King of France on December the 16th, 1431, when he was aged just 10. But despite successes here and there, the war was eventually lost in 1453, when the last English possession, apart from Calais, fell. Calais itself would fall over 100 years later, during the reign of Mary I. Henry VI did the sensible thing and reacted to the news by slipping into a waking coma. He had to be force-fed and didn't stir from his stupor for 18 months, leaving his queen, Margaret of Anjou, in charge. After the disastrous end of the 100 Years' War, there was inevitable fallout. The English liked nothing better than to fight, and so decided if they couldn't fight the French, they'd fight amongst themselves instead. Henry VI had had a long regency where others ruled on his behalf, but even on his reaching an age where he might be considered old enough to assert authority, it was plain that he was not made of the stuff required to be a medieval monarch, even excluding his mental ailments. He was a simple but kindly man, more inclined to prayer than lopping off someone's head in battle. The problem that he, and more precisely his tough wife, Margaret of Anjou, had was that there were men seeking power around them. The loss of French possessions had been bad for the king, but also for the English nobles who held land there. And so to compensate themselves, they sought to regain power and re-establish power for themselves in England. And this would cause decades of civil war.